Look up. No more running from the bad guy. I'ma stare him in the eye like, what's up? Heard you looking for a hero. Well, look.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Insights of a Survivor. Before we get started, I always like to give a trigger warning. This episode contains discussions about the loss of a child, addiction, incarceration, and deep emotional trauma. These topics may be distressing for some listeners, but please take care of yourself, pause, or step away if needed. And if you need to just completely walk away, because your well-being matters the most. So again, welcome back to Insights of a Survivor, a space where truth is honored, healing is raw, and every story becomes the seed of truth. I'm your host, PJ. This platform was born not just from my pain, but from the power that pain revealed. As a survivor of multiple traumas, including the unbearable loss and the unbearable soul-ripping loss of my own son, I don't just understand grief, I lived it. I know what it feels like to break into pieces and still be expected to keep breathing. That's why Insights of a Survivor isn't just a podcast, it's a lifeline. A space that I created for survivors by a survivor. A place where we refuse to sanitize the truth or package the healing into something pretty and digestible. My mission is to center the stories of those society that society often ignores. Excuse me, you guys. You know my mouth. Sometimes I get all over the place. But especially the voices of marginalized and BIPOC communities, because our pain is real, our resilience is unmatched, and our stories deserve to be heard. My vision is clear: to shatter shame, confront silence, and amplify the strength that rises from the ruins. Here we speak the unspeakable. We honor every wound without judgment, and we remind each other that you are not alone. You never were. And today's guest, her journey hits so deep in me because I know that kind of loss. I've carried that kind of loss. And what she's turned it into leaves me breathless. Okay, I am beyond honored to introduce someone whose journey will absolutely shift your perspective. Today's guest is Miss Bethany Shelton. She is a powerhouse behind Beelimitlessnow. Her transformation story is nothing short of soul stirring. In 2020, Bethany experienced a loss no mother should ever have to face. Her only child transitioned into the spirit. But instead of letting grief consume her, Bethany channeled her pain into purpose. With the guidance of her angelic, galactic, and spiritual teams, she transmuted unimaginable trauma into divine service. Yes, 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 yes. Miss Bethany is a living embodiment of what it means to break free from addiction, incarceration, childhood trauma, societal labels, and ADHD. And most of all, the illusion that we're separate from the spirit. She's gone beyond medicated and silenced to standing fully in her strength. So she's no longer silent. She's standing fully in her strength and in her truth, while teaching others that death is not the end. It's the doorway to higher connection, ancestral wisdom, yes, and energetic intelligence. I love this. This woman is not just surviving, she is activating people. Through her story, she reminds us the power to awaken, heal, and create a limitless life has always been inside of us. And today she's about to take us there. So settle in, take a deep breath, and let's dive into this sacred, powerful conversation. I'm going to go ahead and pull Miss Bethany in right now. Hi, Miss Bethany. Yes.
Hi. So much for that amazing introduction, PJ. Woo!
I only speak the truth. And I love that. I love where you go, where you let this journey take you. Because we can't like when I lost my son, that's the only thing I can say is I understand, because it was me having to hear my son tell me, Mom, it's okay, for me to be able to start allowing myself to heal from that loss. So I know exactly what you mean, but I'm not going to take this because this is your stage. This is your time to shine. So I'm going to first thank you for being a guest on my show. I am so honored to have you here.
I am so honored to be here. And wow, let's knock this trauma survivor out of the field. Wow, I've got some really some interesting life in which I lived. So yeah,
you know what? I'm gonna go ahead, just jump in.
Yeah, you know, this is interesting because my first round of trauma was when I was actually in the womb. Believe it or not. And, you know, when I asked my galactic and my angelic team, I was like, what was this about in the womb? And so when I was inside my mother's womb, I guess I had the awareness that I knew what this lifetime was about. Grief, trauma, drama, you know, incarceration, addiction. I was like, oh no. So I tried to literally take myself out. I was in my mother's womb with my head shoved in my mom's rib cage and my feet over my head for 6 months. And then, if that wasn't good enough, I decided right before, about a month before they were going to induce me, I took every ounce of my umbilical cord and wrapped it around my neck. Yes. And so the body experienced trauma before I had even taken a breath of air. So I found that very interesting. And so when I was in the 3rd grade, my parents were pulled aside from the teachers and said, hey, we think Bethany is on the spectrum. We need you to take her to a psychiatrist and get her tested. So as any great parents would do, they did that. And the psychiatrist came back and said, yep, Bethany's tested and she's on the spectrum of ADD, attention deficit disorder. And so my parents at the time were given 2 handfuls of prescriptions. One was Ritalin and one was Adderall. Now, but let's back that up. That is nothing more now, come to find out. You know, this was in the late 80s, but that kind of shows my age. But I mean, you know, this is nothing more than synthetic methamphetamine. This is amphetamine. This is speed that I was given by the handfuls when I was in the 4th grade. Now, you know, in that moment, I tell you, PJ, I went to school and the kids began to make fun of me. And I went back home to my parents and I was like, look, I can't take this. You know, I was absolutely a zombie. I mean, I would just sit in class and just, you know, and I was drugged out of my mind. And so I thought I was slick, and so when my parents gave me the prescription, I'd spit it out in the garbage can. So I guess they caught on to my shenanigans. And this is the first mind shift of my life. One day I sit down and I go to take a bite of a hamburger, and when I did, I bit into this medication. My parents had then hid it in my food. And when that happened, PJ, my mind shifted. I was like, what's wrong with me? I felt like I wasn't good enough. I blamed myself, shamed myself, less than, not enough. You know, then I became anger, rage, frustration. And so this, by my parents doing this and the medical society, I took on that program that the only way I was able to show up in society and society accept me was if I was intoxicated. And so I ran that program many years of my life of, you know, drug and alcohol and not being okay with Bethany. You know, I just was not. And so that led a life of incarceration, addiction, and it just really, really on a frequency, energetic level, I was vibrating at such a low frequency that, you know, I was absolutely collapsing in on myself, and I would lash out because of that. So yeah, that was probably one of the earliest childhood traumas that I experienced, for sure.
Wow. Yeah, you know, they did that with my son. He actually asked for medication because he's like, Mom, something's not right. And they gave him, they diagnosed him with mood disorders. They had him on Adderall, clonazepam. What is that stuff that makes you sleep? It starts with an A. I can't think of it right now, but I'm sure someone knows what it is. They had him on all these medications, and he asked me, Mom, I'm done. I think 2 to 3 years later, he asked me, Mom, can I just stop? And I said, you know what? Do you think you need him anymore? He said, no. And I said, okay. And I just took him off because you
Yeah.
have to listen to your child. A lot of parents in the 80s, they didn't understand. They were trying to do the best they could, you know,
And
but they
then
didn't understand that they were making addicts, you know. And it's like, but because I seen that with, it was
yes.
like, no, I'm not going to force it on you. The minute you tell me you're done, we're done. I trust my child.
That's a great awareness there, PJ, because my parents were just doing what they thought and felt in their being that they were providing me, you know, care. And they were just doing what they were told. And they thought it was to help me.
Exactly.
They did not, if they would have known what it mentally and psychologically did to me,
Yes.
no,
Yes.
they wouldn't have done that. No,
No,
you
of
know,
course not. See,
no.
I'm lucky. In our generation, we had to get pumped full of Ritalin and Adderall, but as we grew up, we seen what it was doing to the kids. So we're like, no, I'm not giving that stuff to my kids. So we had a choice. Our parents, they didn't have that choice. They didn't have professionals
Yes.
saying what it does to the kids. It doesn't, you know, they didn't know. So, and it sounds like you had parents who loved you very, very much, and they just wanted you to be okay. But so you describe, I'm going to just jump into the question. You describe that you have lost your only child as the moment that your world has shattered. And can you
Yes.
share what that initial
Sure.
grief looked like and
Sure.
how it felt? What, you know, just kind of walk us through. I mean, I know my version of it, but everybody's version is different. Can you kind of let us all know how that affected you?
Sure. So let me give you a little bit, just a real brief rundown about my son. My son, his name's Kevin. And Kevin, I taught Kevin at a young age that books can take you places that a suitcase can't. And so he really threw himself into books. He loved it. And he was always in like the gifted program. I mean, and if you'll listen, I talk to him in present tense because I communicate with him just like I'm communicating with you. So, I mean, I can hear him right now. It's ridiculous. But so Kevin just loved school and he did very well. He was in the gifted program. And so it was his senior year and he scored a 32 on his ACT. And the military came to him and said, hey, you know, you've scored so well on your ACT. We got a test for you that we would like for you to test. So, of course, Kevin, the nerd that he is, he's like, oh, yay, test. So he scored on the test and he scored in the top 1% of the top 1%. The military came to him with a job and a contract for nuclear physicist. And he said, I said, well, look, son, you'll get to be in the bottom of an aircraft carrier. And he said, yeah, Mom, not so much. If it would have been astrophysicist, I probably would have done it. Because my son absolutely studied and was a sponge of knowledge on quantum mechanics, quantum physics, quantum entanglement, light, sound, energy, frequency. And I had no awareness of any of it before his passing. So one day I'm at work and I was working a third shift job and my boss comes up to me and she's like, Bethany, I need you to clock out. It's like 2:30 in the morning. I was like, why? She's like, well, you've got people out in the parking lot. I was like, no, I don't. It's 2:30 in the morning. Nobody's out there for me. She said, clock out. I said, all right. So I clocked out and I go and I pop the doors. And when I pop the doors open, I look out and I see my whole immediate family standing there. My mom, my dad, my brother, my sister-in-law, and my nephew. And I was like, man, this is really weird because I didn't think they knew where I worked. So anyway, I walk up to my mom and she's like, Bethany, I need you to sit down. I said, okay. So I sat down. She turned to me. Now, when I get to this part, I am literally, PJ, I am catapulted back into that space, place, and time. It's like a lucid screen. I can see what my body, being, and heart felt what's fixing to come. So my mom looks at me and she said, Bethany, Kevin's been killed tonight. He was headed down to his father. He had left my house, headed to his dad's, and a guy crossed over the center line, hitting him head on, killing him instantly. And when it doesn't ever get any easier. When you get to
Just take your time. Take your time. I'm trying not to cry with you, so do.
So
I understand.
Yeah. So PJ, the sound of the scream that came out of my mouth is so foreign to me right now. My hair on my neck standing up. I let out a scream so loud that I literally collapsed to the floor. In that moment, I thought, every thought, feeling, and emotion of, I failed. I failed him as a parent. I should have been there to protect him. I coulda, shoulda, woulda, what ifs, blame, shame, guilt, less than, not all of that. And so my brother drives me home, and I call Kevin's dad, and on the way home, and he said, Bethany, I'm gonna come pick you up tomorrow. We got some stuff we got to do. I said, yeah. So PJ, it's the day of the funeral, and I'm in my son's room, and I dropped to my knees in his room, and I said, God, please, I don't know how I'm going to be able to do what is being required of me. Please, I need some kind of sign, something that Kevin's okay. PJ, I'm walking back from the burial. My best friend of 36 years has my arm. It's a cloudy day. She pops my arm and she said, look, I look up, the clouds part, and a rainbow pops through. There's my sign. I literally fell to my knees. And in that moment, something kind of shifted within my heart. I just received my sign that I asked for. So that next year, that first year, as you know, PJ, I was an absolute zombie. It was hard. It was very hard. I started to research NDEs, near-death experiences. And what I was hearing from what these people were saying that they had experienced in their near-death experience, it was blowing my mind. I was like, I had no idea anything about spirit, anything about energy. I had no idea about any of this. Well, one day, I get like these full body downloads, and all of a sudden I've been instructed in my body being aura to write all this stuff down. Well, PJ, up until just a few months ago, I'd go back to that journal and look, and the information and data in which I was translating onto that piece of paper, I could not believe what I was getting. I said, oh my gosh. Well, just like I said, just downloads of information, frequency, vibration. And so one day I was sitting on my couch, and I was like, man, I need to go get in the shower. So I go get in the shower, and I pull back my shower curtain, PJ, and I look down in my shower, and I find coins inside of my bathtub. Now, I don't know about you or me. I don't shower. I don't have coins in my hands. I don't have pockets. I don't know how this change, these coins, got into my bathtub. So I picked up the coin, and I looked at it, and I had Kevin's death year on it, 2020. And I said, well, that's interesting. So I just totally disregarded it. Well, several days had passed, and I get up in the morning one morning, and as I normally do, I make my bed and get everything all tidied and everything. That night, I come get in my bed, and I pull my sheets back, and what is in my freshly cleaned bed? Coins. And I was like, what is this? What is going on? So I still wasn't able to put it together. So several days had passed, and this is where it starts to get fun, and this is where the mind shift began. So I'm in my living room. I was like, man, I need to vacuum the house. So I vacuumed the whole house, put up everything. I go put the vacuum cleaner up. I walk back into my living room, PJ, and I look down on my freshly vacuumed floor, and what did I find? Coins. Now, these coins were not just there because I just vacuumed. What in the world is going on here? So it just absolutely I was like, what? So I pick up the phone and I call my mom. I was like, Mom, man, something's going on. I am finding coins everywhere. She said, Bethany, oh my God, your father and we are finding coins everywhere too. And I was like, what? She said, yeah, I think it's Cabin. I said, what? I hung up the phone and I ran out into my deck. I said, man, Cabin, buddy, man, if this is you, can you show up for me like a blue bird or a red bird? PJ, the very next day, everywhere I turned, there was a blue jay or a cardinal. Everywhere I turned. In that moment, I said, oh my goodness, this child is trying to communicate with me. And in that moment, I became excited. I was like, oh, because once again, I had no idea this was even possible. So I started to find that when I began to be in these elevated states of frequency, of energy, of a vibration. Now, this is what I get my clients to we go over. Right here, I have an emotional chart. Now, when we are in states of shame vibrates on a frequency level of 20 hertz. Sorrow vibrates at 50 hertz. Grief vibrates at 75 hertz. Guess where death vibrates? 0. So you mean to tell me when I am in sorrow, guilt, shame, grief, I am vibrating on an energetic level right next to death. Now, on a frequency chart, you have an electromagnetic field. Your electromagnetic field precedes you in 6 feet, 360 degrees around you, right? So when you are vibrating on these lower aspects of frequency, your electromagnetic field constricts and restricts in on you. It puts the body into fight or flight. Now, one has to pay attention. Why, if you can have rest and repair, if you could have the choice and vibrating with gratitude, which vibrates at 900 hertz, wisdom vibrates at 780, and love and joy vibrate right at 540. I mean, okay, so when I paid attention to this, when I'm vibrating in these higher states of frequency, my field expands. And this is how Kevin brought it to me. He said, Mom, when I was in my body and you were in your body and we were having a human experience, he said, Mom, we vibrated pretty much on the same wavelength. And I was like, okay, yeah, I get that. He said, but Mom, when I return to spirit, energy cannot be created or destroyed. It only transforms. So when he rose and went back to energy, back to spirit, he rose in frequency. Well, when I experienced his crossover, I dropped in grief, blame, shame, hurt. He said, Mom, do you see how far it is for us to communicate there? Do you see how big the gap is? I'm high and you're low. He said, that's not a thing. You can't be operating in lower frequency and lower aspects and think that you can communicate with higher. That's just not a thing, Mom. And I was like, oh my goodness. Wow. Okay. So when he brought it to me like that, I was like, well, that's interesting. Nobody told me that I could communicate with my child. Nobody told me that this was even a possibility. But isn't it interesting that when we are constricted and restricted, that breaks all communications with the higher aspects? Yeah.
Wow. I love it. So is this about transmuting pain into power? Is this because you talk about transmuting pain into power with help of your spirit and galactic teams? And for those of us who aren't familiar with that, how would you describe what that support looks like? How would you transmute your pain into power? I'm going to assume is what helps to raise those vibrations, right?
Right. Well, what it is okay, we have several bodies. We have a mental body, an emotional body, a physical body, a spiritual body, a light body, and an etherical body. So we're just going to talk about two bodies right now. We're going to talk about the mental body, which your mental body is your transmitter. This is what, on a frequency now, and on an energetic level, what you think about, you bring about, and what you bring about, you'll experience. So when you are thinking thoughts, this is your antenna. This is what you're putting out into the field. Well, nobody managed to tell us that our powerhouse is our heart. We were told that our hearts are only an organ pumping blood through the body. Well, I'm going to call bullshit on that, because your heart is absolutely your powerhouse. This is your magnetic. This is what you brought. Your mind is what you broadcast. Your heart is what you pull back. This is what's going to bring the experience to you. So gaining awareness of your frequency, of your field, and that's your mind and your heart, what it is, and getting them synced up and linked up to really start to communicate and experience life in which you choose to experience. One has to take a look. Why am I grieving?
Miss Bethany, I have a question for you. I'm sorry, from Choco 30. They asked, and thank you for your question. How do you check where you're vibrating at? You are the very first person I interviewed that got a question. Seriously. But
yes,
how do you check where you're vibrating at?
Okay, so you got to take a look at what it is you're thinking, because remember, your electromagnetic field is made of your mental and your heart. These are both your frequency, your powerhouses. So to take a look at where you're vibrating at, first on a mental plane, on a mental field, let's evaluate. Let's observe the thought processes. Why am I, let's just say sorrow. Okay, why, when you have the thought of sorrow, gaining an awareness of it, and okay, I see it. Okay, the thought comes in, you take awareness of it, but then you have choice. Okay, I can allow this thought of sorrow to continue to spin in my mind, and I can storytell and pain loop and have a whole conversation about it, or I can drop the thought, drop it. Okay, it comes in. Okay, when it comes in, just drop it, and then dive into the heart. Okay, when that thought comes in, well, you know what? I know on a frequency level that sorrow vibrates right next to death. And I don't want to keep my body in fight or flight. I would enjoy feeling rest and repair. Now, what would rest and repair be? If sorrow is right there vibrating at 20 hertz, well, what would be the opposite of that? Happiness, joy, gratefulness. So, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome, right? So all of us that have had loss of our children, of a family member, all we want to do is to feel better. That's all we want to do, is to get to feeling better. So when those sorrow thoughts, feelings, and emotions come in, take awareness of it, and then drop the mental chatter and drop into the heart and choose a different frequency. And that would be love, gratefulness, compassion. And on a vibratory rate, your field will automatically start to expand out. And then when you shut the mind off, your guides can come in and communicate with you. When you start operating in a different field, in a different frequency of higher aspects, then you will get the downloads, and then you will get the communications with your teams. And my son. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for explaining that. It gives me goosebumps, because it gives me hope that I'll be able to, because I know he's around. I just can't hear him. And that's where I'm trying to get to a level where I can actually hear him speaking to me. Because I know he wants to fuss at me, and I have some things to say to him too. Let's just not
Okay.
so.
Okay.
From incarceration,
I've got a great test.
Go ahead.
I got something for you. You ready to communicate with him? All right.
Yes.
So
Yes, I am.
okay. All right. This is what we're going to do. So when, maybe late at night when it's just you and your frequency, just by yourself, I want you to get out a piece of paper. I want you to write down a letter to your son, telling him everything that you want to tell him. Then I want you to write a letter to yourself, everything your son would want to tell you. Then I want you to write what needs to happen. What like for me, hey Kevin, if this is you, can you show up for me like a bluebird or a redbird? Whatever sign, whatever something that you need to see in order to know that your child's communicating with you. Say, hey baby, mom, this would make me feel so, and then read it out loud to them. Let them know how this sign, if you see this bluebird or redbird, how this sign is going to allow you to feel, and that when you see this sign, you will know that your child's trying to communicate with you. And speak it out so he can hear it and be clear on what it is that you would need to see to believe that your child's communicating with you.
And I know exactly what I'm going to tell him I need. It's not what I see, but it's to hear. We have songs that we have in common, and I need to hear these songs. I'll just put on some music and let it rip and see what happens, because I kind of had feelings that he would do that to me, because every times I'm listening to music and I'm really sad, but then I start hearing things that he loved. Hearing things, and I'm just like, son, are you talking to me? And then another song will come on that's his favorite song, and I'm like, I know you're right here. What are you trying to say? And then another song will come on, and I'm like, just tell me what you want to say. So I'm gonna do that, because I need to confirm it, because I never really confirm it. Like, if that's you, play this song next. So I'm gonna do that. I'm definitely gonna do that. And Chocolate 30 says thank you. So he's confirming that you change your frequency by changing what you're thinking of, basically. So if you're sad and in your heart, you know that you're sad, you have to turn that sadness into joy. Basically, you have to put your frequency at a different level to change that yourself.
Because scientists have now figured out with the quantum field, like attracts like. So if you are vibrating in lower frequency, guess what? You're only attracting more of that lower frequency back to you. When you choose differently and say, "Oh, I'm gonna do something different because I want a different outcome. I'm gonna stop being insane. I'm gonna do something different so I can get a different outcome." When we spiral out of and stay locked, blocked, and stopped in grief and hurt, blame, shame, we're doing the same thing, but we really want something else. We really just want to feel better, but we're not doing anything different. Right. So yeah. I mean, that was like a big thing for me. I was like, oh, okay. Because we weren't taught this in school, guys. We weren't taught about energy, frequency, vibration, healing, spirit. We were all told that that's bad. No. You don't do that. But until my child transitioned and went back to spirit, why would I need to learn it? But now that I have my heart, my joy, and my biggest warrior, my spiritual warrior on that side, hell yeah, I need to talk to him. We need to figure some shit out.
Right. I love it. Oh my goodness. And I can feel that energy. Just talking to you makes I feel my vibrations rising right now. So I mean, if you guys don't, and I'm not even in the same room with you guys, and I got goosebumps. I literally have goosebumps going up my arms. So no, I feel what you're talking about through the internet. I feel the energy that you're vibrating towards me. So we're definitely gonna stay in contact. We're definitely gonna stay in contact.
I mean, that's quantum entanglement, because you're not only in my field, but I'm in your field too. And just imagine, guys, what happens when you go to a grocery store? Because like I told you earlier, we have electromagnetic field that precedes us 6 feet out. So what happens when you go to the grocery store and you have to freaking, shimmy up next to negative Nancy,
Oh my
Trina
goodness.
Thomas? What does that do on an energetic frequency level by intertwining with people of lower frequency? Could those frequencies residues rub off and get off into your field? The answer to the
Oh,
question,
they definitely can.
yes,
I've
definitely.
had to. I'll stand next to someone and I'll get a physical headache because my husband's brother, if he got mad, and he would get mad a lot, I would be like, he needs to get away from me because my head is throbbing right now. I was fine 2 seconds ago. He's pissed. He needs to go calm down because my head will throb. So I know for facts that energy is transferable because my husband says when I get mad, I go boom. Like I don't feel it, but my kids are walking out my house and they want to walk right back out because they're like, mom's pissed and I can't be around this right now because I have a strong, when I'm happy, it's all through the room. When I'm sad, it's all through the room. So she is speaking truth, you guys.
I get it. And hey, I'm going to give you you want a little bonus how to clear your field. So like when you go out to a grocery store and some shit's done, got into your field. Now you're frustrated,
Yes.
agitated. This is what you do. You take a big deep breath in. Any energy that is not of my most benevolent outcome must move in all 7 trillion miles in all directions out on 3 and it leaves. 1, 2, 3. And by universal law,
get away.
Yep, by universal law, the energies have to move out of your field.
You have a fan with Mr. Chalk on 30. He said, can what you eat affect your energy as well?
Oh, yes, because everything is frequency, everything is energy, everything is vibration. So when you eat processed, dense, stuck food, yes, that has an effect on your body being an aura for sure. But that's a really great question. And here's another great energetic thing that I use when I drink water. I put salt in it. I put a little bit of salt in it because that hydrates very well.
Yeah. So what you were telling me about how to get the energy off you from a person, is that the same with what you put in your body as well, or would you have to? Because I put Florida water, salt in my body wash to kind of cleanse myself as well. Is that the same with eating? What you eat? You eat something.
On an energy level, like I gave, like when you go out to a grocery store, here is a great way to get the energetic residue off of you after you clear your field, and you still feel, because we weren't taught about spiritual hygiene, energetic hygiene, we weren't taught that. So this is a great, if you take a bowl of salt, what do you call it? Himalayan pink salt, and you put olive oil in that. And then when you get in the shower at night, take that salt scrub and scrub it all over your body and leave it on there for 3 to 5 minutes. That will energetically get the residue off of because your skin is your biggest organ, and the energetic residue can stick onto your skin like Velcro. So just use that salt scrub and clear your field, and man, you talk about a new body being. Woo!
I love this. I love it. So before, because I've taken all. I'm sorry. I want to ask one question because this is something that actually helps me, because it's your from incarceration to inspiration portion, and your story includes powerful turning points. What were the darkest moments of your chapter, and how did it help you survive? Like a lot of people, because you are the most beautiful, energetic person that I've met who's also a survivor of child loss. So whatever you could do to share that, like in Mr. Choco 30, he's like, I'm asking because you're helping us all. How did you get to that, from the incarceration, the addiction, the loss of a child, being basically drugged as a child, like this energy that you have, you would never know.
now how amazing would this be if I asked Kevin one night, I said, Kevin, why in the hell did I sign up for this life? You know what I mean? Like, what was wrong with mom? I mean, that was stupid. That's some stupid shit to put myself through all this. He said, Mom, he said, before you were gotten to the body, he said, I picked you as my mom, and we agreed that I would give you this experience of death, loss, separation for your soul's evolution. He said, Mom, how fun would the test be if you knew all the answers? And I said, holy shit. Wow. That's interesting because, that is so interesting to me. But, if I chose to experience all this to make my soul's evolution, what better way to honor myself than to know thyself? So what I did was something different. I stopped being insane. I did something different when I experienced my biggest fear, and that was the loss of my child. When I experienced that, I gained power because there's nothing on this planet that can hurt me now. Nothing. I've already experienced my
biggest,
hugest. There's power in that. There's power behind that. There's nothing else this world can do to me. So, when you look at it from that, you can only rise. You can only rise. And so what better way to not only honor my soul, but my son than to be the best divine being I can be? What way to honor my son than for me to fully know thyself?
Right. I love it. I love it. And that's, like I said, you just don't know. It was meant for us our paths connected for a reason, because not gonna lie, I've gotten far behind on looking at all of my my applicants for the show, and I literally looked at your application last week when I sent you the email. Mm-hmm. That's when I was like, I need to get more guests, and you were the first one to respond. So I was like, and then honestly, you were the first one. I looked at all of these applications, and I'm not gonna lie, not everyone makes it, through, but you were the first one. I'm like, okay, no, yes, she's a yes. She's a yes. Let's get her on. And I think that's what we call divine, because I could have easily said no, but I really felt like your story deserved to be told. And if it's even a double dose that you have this energy about you, and that you have this love resonating off of you. If I walk next to you in the grocery store, I might scoot over and try to bump you a little more. I do that. I will walk up to people and say, hi, you are so beautiful. My husband says that all the time. You just walk up to strangers and tell them they're beautiful. I'm like, sometimes they need to hear it. I probably will walk up to you.
That is so true. And that's so amazing that you said that, because, this week I had a call from my hometown that someone had died in our community. And this is only the second funeral that I've been to since my son. And so my teams came in and was like, Bethany, we're doing something different. And I was like, okay, what are we doing? And so when I went to this funeral, I dropped my mind. I did not operate. Not one time did I have a thought come in. I showed up to that funeral and funeral home in a frequency of love, compassion, understanding, acceptance, and allowance. And when I did that, I'm going to tell you what, PJ, I could not believe my eyes, because people were coming up to me that I did not know. I had nothing. And they were just wrapping their arms around me and telling me their whole life story. And so I talked to my teams after I got back, and my team said, Bethany, that they consciously didn't know what was going on, but their bodies are more conscious than the being. Their bodies knew and understood the frequency in which you were transmitting and emitting, and that the body came to you before it would do anything, because of the frequency, and you were attracting them to you. And I was like, wow.
I love it. I love it. I never do this on my shows, but I do my own tarot readings. I have a flowered oracle card. I have my crystal oracle card, and I have, the general tarot card. So I did my readings last night, and I did with all 3 decks. All 3 decks said that I'm exhausted. spiritually, mentally, emotionally exhausted, and that I need to start focusing back on basically my vibrations are low, and I need to bring them high. And then what do you know? Here's my confirmation in this in my interview right here. You are definitely someone that I need to stay in contact with, because I need it's like I need to hear everything that you're saying, because what you're
But
saying, like
also,
what I,
also, PJ, let's me and you after this, because I can see your field, I can see your energetic field, and let's book a call. And I want to go in and clear some space in all space, place, time, dimension, density, reality, parallel reality, omniverse, multiverse, universe, and I will pull out some of that energy and get you back flowing right.
thank you.
Woo-hoo!
Oh, okay, so you guys, I'm gonna have to give her back to her team. But before, we have one last question from Choco 30. When you talk to your son, are you in a special place like his room, or do you talk to him anywhere? Like where are you? Like
That
are
is
you?
such a great question. Oh my
Yes.
gosh, your audience is amazing. So, you know what? At first, when I first started to make communication, it was amazing because it would come in so many different ways. It would come through first the birds, then it came through music, then he started fucking with the lights, and then I just. Oh no, girl. He started playing music out of nowhere. I'm talking about blasting it. And I was like, oh my gosh. So, it doesn't have to be anywhere specific. Now that because of the transformation and the connection that him and I have, it's full on telepathy now, and I can hear him just like I can hear you, PJ. And so yeah, it can be anywhere. But you're if you have a crossed over loved one in the spiritual realms, they are looking to connect with you. I promise you, but they don't know exactly how to do it. If you're even aware that that's even possible, or if you're willing or wanting to. So if that's something that you're interested in, I would highly suggest to write a letter to your loved one and allowing them to know exactly what it is that you are looking for and how they can come and communicate with you. Coins or birds or feathers, or what it needs to take for you to gain the awareness of them, because they're trying to interact. I promise.
Oh my goodness, I believe you. I really do. Oh, this was awesome. So if you don't mind, I'm going to put you backstage. Do not leave, because I do want to talk to you, because you guys, I have a summit tomorrow for grieving parents. Anybody that wants to come, I just invited Miss Bethany to be on. I cannot do this summit. And if she has the time tomorrow, I would love for her to join me. And if you guys want to hear some more, because I'm going to give her a whole hour just of nothing. This is going to be just you. I'm not even going to ask you anything. If you can just talk for an hour, it's your stage, because you earned it tonight, ma'am. So I'm going to put you backstage, and I'm going to close on up. And if you don't mind, I want to see what time would be a good time for you to be on my thing tomorrow. So just 1 second. If you want to tell everyone goodbye, you had a lot of questions. Like I said, you had the most.
You know what, audience? I want each and one of your audience to know that I am sending so much love from my heart into theirs. And I want them to know that they are so powerful. They are so magical, that they are the most precious thing on this world, and that I love them, and that their teams and their guides and their crossed over loved ones love them too, and they are waiting for connection. So if anything that I've talked about tonight is something that you might be interested in, go to my website. Go to Be Limitlessnow, BEE Limitlessnow, and book a free call with me, and let's have a conscious conversation. It's not going to cost you anything. Just let's have a talk. And come to sign up on my email list, because I do all kinds of free events and do all kinds of stuff. So yeah, come over.
Come over. You guys heard of Be Limitless Now. Her email is in my details, but I'm going to update the details to also add Be Limitless Now, so that you guys can book a consultation with her, because I've only talked to her just a short time. Like literally, I met her literally seconds before we jumped on, and she stuck with me for life. She has no idea. I still got the goosebumps. I still have the goosebumps. So you stay on, and I will jump right back on with you. 1 second. Oh my God, you guys, that was awesome. That was so, so awesome. I love these types of episodes where it just flows. And Bethany, thank you so much for showing up with such raw, true, divine power and unapologetic energy. You need to keep that going because your voice, your courage, and your story, they are all a gift to every soul that's listening, including mine and you, the listener. If today's conversation cracks something, then you don't run from it. Sit with it. Be limitless.now. Reach out to her. Let her teach you. That ache you feel, that spirit remembering who the hell you really are beneath that pain and programming, she can help you get to there. So please don't hesitate to reach out to her. And you don't have to be ready. You just have to be willing to heal, willing to rise, and willing to believe that you are worthy of more than just survival. And maybe you've been through things no one knows. Maybe your trauma has been minimized, silenced, or dismissed. But let me tell you this: you don't owe anyone quiet. Your scars are sacred. Your truth is not too much. It's medicine. You're not broken. You're becoming. And every single moment you choose to keep breathing, keep trying, keep feeling, that's resilience. That's power. So if today you can see the light, be still, because it's not gone. It's buried beneath the debris of what's trying to destroy you. And I'm like, it's a block. It's just a block that needs to be released. But hear me when I say this: you are not here by accident. Your presence is proof of purpose. You're allowed to feel joy again. You're allowed to speak your truth and not apologize for it. You're allowed to take up space and not shrink for anyone. And as you go forward with this episode, carry this truth with you, not just in your head, but in your bones. And this is a quote by Miss Angela Davis. Carry this with you. I am no longer accepting things that I cannot change. I'm changing things I cannot accept. I love that quote, and I've said that quote before, because we have to understand that we can't change it. We just have to accept it and learn how to live with it. So this is Insight of a Survivor. And please, please always remember that your story does not end in pain. It begins. And please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, because there more like this is coming. You guys have a great evening. Thank you so much. See you next time.
Heard you looking for a hero. Well, look up. No more running from the bad guy. I'ma stare him in the eye like, what's up? I know the journey got hard for a minute, but I ain't giving this up. Yeah, I got the heart of a champion. If I get knocked down, I get